Rhodes is the largest island of the Dodecanese, a group of Greek islands located in the southeast of the Aegean, just off the west coast of Turkey. Since antiquity, this special location has brought it both power and wealth. On the northernmost tip of the island is the fascinating metropolis of Rhodes, whose harbour entrance was once adorned by the seventh wonder of the world, the Colossus of Rhodes. But the legendary lighthouse has long since gone, and today excursion boats and yachts crowd the island's former trading harbour that has a rich and dramatic past. Byzantines, Arabs, the Knights of the Order of St. John, Ottomans and Italians. Each one influenced the ever-changing history of the island that was first settled here in 400 BC. Rhodes was one of the most important cities in antiquity and fended off attack due to its impressively tall city walls. But the mighty-looking fortification was in reality a deception, as it was far from sturdy. But its many defensive towers and pinnacles had their desired effect. During this time, a city wall was built, with strong 4-metre thick walls, towers, defensive walls and ditches. One of the most beautiful gates is the Thalassini Gate that dates back to the golden age of chivalry, framed by 2 huge circular towers. In the 15th century, there were 3 attempts to storm its walls. In 1440 and 1444, the Egyptians failed, and in 1480, the Ottomans. It was subsequently reinforced. Square towers were replaced by circular towers. The triple gate complexes had tangled corridors added, further protection for the fortress. At the city's highest point is the huge palace of the Grand Master, the monumental junction of the Street of the Knights and the command post of the Christian Order. In 1320, the Knights of St. John discovered an old fortified town here and immediately began to expand its fortress into the Grand Master Palace. The splendid attire and family charts of the Grand Master indicate the unlimited power and magnificence of this God-fearing knight and ultimate commander. The Grand Master was the highest dignitary of the Order of the Knights of Malta, a lifetime office. Today, his former residence looks as though it was abandoned only recently. Italian traders from Amalfi founded the order in 1070 that was originally dedicated to the care of sick pilgrims and crusaders. After a total of 7 Christian crusades was unable to defeat Islam and the reconquering of Jerusalem failed, the Knights of the Order of St. John were driven out of Palestine. First, they sought shelter in Cyprus, and next conquered the island of Rhodes, that was then under the rule of Portuguese pirates. The fortress was transformed into the huge Grand Master Palace. The Street of the Knights leads from the Grand Master Palace down the hill to the hospital. A unique ensemble of Gothic medieval architecture set amid the Mediterranean. The main buildings of the various groups of knights were erected along the main street. It was here that the knights met and conferred according to their membership of various European regions. These inns also accommodated pilgrims on their journey to Jerusalem, who frequently stopped off in Rhodes for a few days' rest. For more than 200 years, the Grand Master Palace and the Knights Hospital were the island's most important buildings. Today, the Order's well-preserved hospital is open to the general public. Only works of art from the Mycenaean to the Hellenistic epoch are exhibited here, owing to the fact that the Romans took most of its treasures to Rome. Artistic floor mosaics and unique stone sculptures indicate the island's long history. The old town of Rhodes is now tantamount to a protected artistic monument. Everything that has survived is well maintained and cared for, and everyone who comes here also treats it with great respect. The Turkish district also has a lot to offer. It originated after the Turks marched victoriously into the city in 1522 and settled here. The Turkish forced the local population to settle outside the city walls. Fine mosques were built, and the medieval structures have been extremely well preserved. In the Jewish district is the Kal de Shalom synagogue that dates back to the 16th century. It has been fully restored thanks to public donation. The impressive remains of the old Gothic church building of Panagia tou Bourgogne is reminiscent of the romantic age of chivalrous and loyal knights. Sometimes it's possible to observe a carpet being made, but this is mainly done to attract the tourists and encourage them to buy. The pulsating heart of Rhodes is the constantly busy Hippokrates Square. Just off the tourist trail, the narrow lanes are suddenly calm and empty. They may seem to be momentarily disorientating, but they usually lead back to the main street. Unexpectedly, hidden squares with small mosques and old prayer towers appear. Here, Gothic elements from the age of chivalry blend with the Oriental flair and the influence of the free-thinking Greeks. Each step is like a journey through 2,400 years of history. The modern new town beyond the walls has good parks and sandy beaches, set in front of hotel complexes. On the hill above the city, the Monte Smith, are the remains of ancient Rhodes. But the ruins of the acropolis are only a shadow of the former splendour of this ancient island metropolis. Filerimos is located on the island's west coast, close to the city of Rhodes. The Crusaders built this complex on historic ground. In the 5th century AD, Byzantine monks built the first chapel on this site. The splendid condition of today's monastery and its colourful mosaic illustrations is thanks to the Italians who carried out extensive renovation work here. The Knights' Church covers only a small section of the ancient Athena Polias temple, whose massive foundations were only recently uncovered. The journey travels to the interior of the island. Amid a green wooded mountain landscape is Synthos, a mountain village with fine houses and village square. The scant landscape smells of herbs and shines out in lush green. Even in winter, the climate is good and helps the olive trees to flourish, the ideal climate for this heat-seeking tree. Petaloudis, the Valley of Butterflies. For many years, this picturesque location has been a popular attraction for tourists who usually come here in organised groups. A steep path with wooden handrails and bridges leads up from the end of the valley. Until some years ago, there were thousands of harlequin butterflies to be seen here between July and September. These nocturnal creatures come here to breed in the humid biotope atmosphere of this valley, to the aromatic resin of its sweet gum trees, whose nearest counterparts grow on the coast of Asia Minor. Close by, this isolated place hides a gem of Byzantine art, the Agios Nikolaos Funtukli Church. A Byzantine functionary built this isolated church in commemoration of his children who succumbed to the plague. The interior of the church is adorned with colourful frescoes. Bumpy, narrow streets lead up through a wooded area. The adventurous journey across the island has begun. The road gradually winds its way to the east of the island. Eptarpiges, the Valley of the Seven Springs. The Romans appreciated the coolness of this region during the hot summer months. The clear water of the Seven Springs forms a small creek that trickles its way beneath the dense leafy canopy of ancient plane trees. Legend has it that this was once a favourite haunt of nymphs, a fantasy that's quite easy to believe. the foot of Tsambika mountain, there's a small church. One of many churches that are scattered across the island and belong in the main to the larger monasteries. During the ascent of Tsambika mountain, the view becomes increasingly spectacular. At the end of the steep path, there's a small white church that is part of Tsambika monastery. Exposed to the elements, it sits high on a rock. Mountains, coastline and beaches are the colourful and attractive setting for this monastery. Feraklos Hill is an imposing sight. Originally, the Byzantines built a large fortress on its summit. In 1306, the Knights of the Order of St. John conquered this fortress and subsequently enlarged it. An additional wall was added due to the threat of invasion by the Ottoman Empire. Lindos, the most beautiful village in Rhodes, with Paulus Bay and an acropolis that is located high above the sea. Thanks to the preservation of its ancient monuments, this place has managed to survive. Leading up to the castle are narrow alleys and steps that in the summer months become crowded with more than 1 million sightseers. In 1936, Italian archaeologists began to rebuild the temple's columns and concreted the terrace. The optical effect is most impressive. More about the temple's renovation. The inclusion of iron, inferior sandstone and concrete had disastrous results. Thus the ancient ruins had to be strengthened. The iron was replaced with stone and the columns were given additional support. A bulwark of the West in a strategic location. A structure with 1,000 years of history. Overwhelming, mighty and unique. A donkey taxi makes for a very comfortable descent. The docile animals carry sightseers up and down the steep mountain paths. In ancient times, Lindos was a powerful and rich maritime and trading centre. All this thanks to its natural harbour that is today mainly full of sand and serves as a popular bathing beach. Further south are the ruins of Asclepio Castle, surrounded by the rugged and fascinating natural landscape. The remains of the walls of a medieval castle of the Knights of the Order of St. John lie amid the isolated mountain landscape. The imposing ruins are a reminder of once hostile times. Some of the castle's surviving corridors are an indication of the interior. It's an interesting and accessible place, but not without its dangers. Few tourists venture to this picturesque mountain region, and only a few roads travel through its rural landscape. The modest village of Mesanagros is located high in the Kukuliari Mountains. Narrow lanes dominate this simple, unspoilt village. The car journey through the wild mountain terrain becomes increasingly adventurous. Suddenly and surprisingly is the village of Siana, that consists of few houses but boasts a large Neo-Byzantine church. As in other similar old churches, huge crystal chandeliers hang down from the ceiling, and icons and sacred objects decorate the interior. Its towers and domes are in strong contrast with the nearby small houses of the village. Only a short drive along a winding mountain road, and we arrive at the rocky west coast. The end of the road, the end of the island. On a single rock is the impregnable Crusader fortress of Monolithos. The small church situated at the top of the rock continues to be maintained to the present day and contains a very special atmosphere. The unique panoramic view across the entire west coast and the rocky bay deep below helps one to understand the power and influence of the Order of the Knights of St. John. The journey north leads inland to Cretinia, and also here, amid this remote mountain landscape, are the ruins of an ancient fortress. Ruined yet impressive fortress of the Crusaders is located on a rock ledge. Thanks to its excellent strategic location, 75 kilometers of coastline were once surveyed from here. The Minoans are believed to have been the first settlers in this region, and they named their new home after their original home of Crete. The small fishing harbour of Kamiros Scala consists of a tavern and a small number of houses. From here, the ferry to Chalki always embarks promptly, even when the sea is less than calm. A few kilometres north along the coast, and the smallest of the three ancient cities of Rhodes appears. Ancient Kamiros was only discovered in 1859 by farmers who came across some graves here. But many of the objects that they discovered were stolen. Thus today, there are only the remains of the original foundations, but within them it's possible to discern streets, baths and temple areas. This glimpse into the past makes Hellenistic history come alive once more. This masterpiece of ancient city planning is one of the most important archaeological sites on the island of Rhodes. The calm sound of the waves is like medicine for the soul, and along with the heat of the sun, makes it easy to forget the problems of everyday life. Rhodes, an island that bewitches all.